I'm not gonna sit here and say I'm gonna do something that's only gonna benefit Black people. No.
Your ass is next.
Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon. And indeed,
your ass is next.
The Villager on Deck here, doing a recap space. Now, technically, it's a recap because it is going to be a rebroadcast of a stream that I did back in 2019. I went all the way back to 2019 to get this. So we're going to cook on it. I'm going to probably chop it up a little bit. But the main thing is we're finally getting some justice, a little justice, partial justice for Elijah McClain, young 23-year-old who was murdered unjustifiably, of course, unarmed, of course, unprovoked, of course, in Aurora, Colorado. Now, I did this stream back in 2019 when I was under the moniker The Black Watch. Now, everybody knows that the Black Watch went by the wayside because I gave it back to the person who thought they owned it, but they didn't own it. And where I got the name from, it didn't have anything to do with them. But I don't argue with no motherfucker about a name. I'm not going to argue with anybody about a name because a name is just a name. And where I got the name from had nothing to do with them. Didn't even know them when I learned about the name. But since they went online and started talking about that they had the black watch before anybody else had the black watch, I gave them back the name. And if you've noticed, ain't nobody else done nothing with the black watch name since then. So I guess that right there just lets me know.
Buttermilk biscuits. I enjoy it.
Yeah, they enjoy them. So they got the name, they got the fame, they got the game, but they can't do nothing with it. So the Black Watch name still sits dormant, but I'm going to revive the Black Watch name today as I did this stream in my basement back in 2019. And let me share this screen real quick. There was also other information that I had on this stream about a young lady who had been shaken up in the back of a squad car while being hog-tied. So we're going to cook on that as well. But I want y'all to just be able to jump right into this because that stream wasn't that long back then. I think it was about 30 minutes long. So let me get that screen share up. You already know where I'm at with it, Free. You know that when they get to clowning out here, then I got to go back in a little bit of history just so I know, what's popping. So, let's see here. Bam, bam, bam. We're gonna put that up there. All right. So this was back in 2019. Okay. I don't look too much different, I guess, from then. But I was just sitting over in the corner of my basement. 2019 had the red, black, and green flag behind me, had the camouflage tarp behind me. And I was really just spitting, didn't really feel like doing nothing in the actual studio back then where I had a kitchen and everything. So I just decided to just pull the laptop up and just spit that night. And what I did was I talked about Elijah McClain, excuse me, and the young lady who was hog-tied and put in the back of a police car, I would say to be shaken to death, but she didn't die. She did not die. So we'll cook on her in a minute. But without further ado, let's get into this stream from 2019 about Elijah McClain and the young lady in the back of the police car, hog-tied. Well, I tell you, we here. Um, it's. I wasn't even going to do this clip because the more I actually read about both stories, the more I became disenchanted. But I guess that's why I'm doing the Black Watch because at this point, I mean, what do I have to lose? And I'm peace to all 113 subscribers. I got 113 subs doing it basically just on the content alone. I don't have anybody out there sharing my videos on a global scale. I'm not buying followers. I'm not buying subs. You know, I'm doing it the way that I only know how to build things, and that's like on a grassroots level. So I appreciate anybody that watches these clips and understands exactly where I'm coming from. Um, and I'm trying something new here. I'm actually tonight. I'm actually in my basement, so my audio might be a little bit different. So hopefully you can hear me. Uh, hopefully things are clear. But I'm in my basement, and it's where I used to kind of do some other stuff. I did some clips called "The Dark Side," and basically you would do my scribing down here, and I just decided that I didn't feel like going out and putting things up in my little makeshift studio. So I said, you know what, I'm just going to do it right here in the basement. We've had a long ass weekend with my granddaughter.
She got molars popping out. She had phlegm in her chest, and it just wasn't a situation where I felt like really moving. But through the course of the weekend, I've looked at the situation that happened over a year ago because the way they played the news out, they made it seem like it was recent, but it was actually over a year ago, 14 months ago, that the young black woman in Aurora, Colorado was hogtied and put in the back of a police car.
So let me correct myself on that. This video was in 2020. Their murders were in, and let me just get to it real quick. This video was done October 4th, 2020. Elijah McClain and this young lady were dealt with in 2019. I should have made that clear. This video is from 2020, but their detriment came in 2019. Sorry about that.
And shook around to the point where she came off the seat. And she came off the seat. It's so weird because she came off the seat and she got to begging. Hey Frida, how you doing, sweetie? I appreciate you, sis. You truly the ride or die out here for me on this thing, because I ain't on no bullshit, and you listen to probably more podcasts than I listen to, and I'm just happy that I was able to catch what you were throwing, where I was at, and what I needed to do, and because it's not really about what I see. I mean, I have a vision of things, but people listening to these clips, it means more to me that I'm on point than anything. I know that I'm going to be who I am, and I know that I'm going to always deliver shit from the right perspective. But you don't have to agree with it, and most people don't. Most people don't agree with a lot of things that I say, or if they do, they don't tell me because it's a tad bit abstract. I'm not a traditional motherfucker, so I get why I get the kickback from a lot of people because they just really don't understand. I put a post up tonight, I don't think anybody liked it or commented on it because they really didn't understand it. But I've talked about Kamala Harris and her not being black. Now she's black, but she's not black. And anybody knows at this point, I mean, what has she done? What has she said? She hasn't even brought up Joe Biden's Lift Every Voice Act when she's been out on the campaign trail. Hell, she ain't even brought up her Lift Act. But I put up a video today of somebody saluting her saying, it's so beautiful to see an Indian woman as the first VP. And she was right there with it. She was, yes, she didn't say, I'm black, sweetie. I'm a black woman. She didn't say that. Because she embraces her Indian heritage. She embraces being a highfalutin Brahmin Indian. I haven't seen her embrace the Jamaican side of her, except when she talked about smoking weed, the Snoop Dogg and Tupac records when she was in college in 1986. But anyway, and most recently,
I'm not gonna sit here and say I'm gonna do something that's only gonna benefit black people.
Living rapper.
No.
And she got that one wrong once again. And then couldn't come up with one. Couldn't come up with a living rapper that she liked. So they need to stop asking her questions about hip hop. I mean, only 30 days left in the election, 29 until the election. So this could all be over really soon. But it is what it is. So how's the sound, Free? I mean, I know it's just you and I in here. So we got a tongue game going. How's the sound? Is the sound okay? Because just in case a couple more guests come in while I'm talking, I want to make sure that I'm clear. So I appreciate you all, and you always tell me, whether you text me or you put it into the chat. I just always want to know how I'm sounding. I ain't gonna look no better. I ain't worried about that. I ain't gonna look no better. And I got the images up today. One just crazy ass image of the young lady upside down in the police car. And I would have to think that this is taken by the cam that's in the squad car. And then the other image is of the youngster Elijah McClain. So, like I said, I dug into this shit. And when they deliver these news stories, you always think that it's current. You always think that it's current because it's news. It's just on the news. And then when you break it down, you find out things that are even more catastrophic than the incidents themselves. Now, I was thinking that this was recent, just like I thought Elijah McClain's situation was recent when I heard it. You don't hear all the news stories, and a lot of the news stories don't make the light of day until they got to do something else with the case. And that's why we're even hearing about the young lady who was hogtied and put into the back of a police car, made to beg. She begged, and she called this race soldier master. She begged him. She begged and called him master. You got to understand what type of subservient position she had to be in to call him master. I mean, we did that for 246 years, but she was just arrested, and I guess she was arrested for fighting. I don't know what happened to the other individual. It doesn't concern me because I don't think they were thrown into the back of a police car and hogtied and made to yell master.
All right. So I'm going to pause it there because I believe I have the footage of her in the car. So let me see if I can bring that footage up. Y'all see that? Okay. Let's see if this is it. I think this is it. It kept skipping it around. I'm playing the video from a third-party source. So hopefully this is it. It's not like I'm looking so forward to seeing a woman hogtied, but this is for the context of the stream. Anybody who didn't see the stream back in 2020 or didn't know about the story in 2019, this is all fresh to them. So I'm trying to make it as contextually sound, because if you don't understand the context of the message, you're probably not going to stay long. So if you know about the Elijah McClain situation, and then you know about the young lady who was hogtied in the back of the police car, this stuff all happened within a 72-hour period. So hopefully this is the actual video of her being restrained by hogtie and left upside down for 21 minutes. We're not going to watch for 21 minutes, but this will just give you a grasp of what's going on here.
Hey, officer, I can't breathe. I can't breathe. Please help me, please. Please help me, please. Officer, officer, please let me up. I'll cooperate, I promise. Let me up.
That's the race soldier who did what he did. Got fired, then appealed his termination.
Have a seat. Put your feet in.
Hey, my head is about to break, bro. Hey, my neck is about to break, bro. Can you lift me up? Hey, officer. I can't breathe. I can't breathe. Please help me, please. Please help me, please. Officer, officer, please lift me up. I'll cooperate. Are we almost there, sir? Can you please hurry? My neck really hurts. My neck really hurts, sir. My neck really hurts bad. I'm perched up under your chair right now, sir. I would really appreciate it if you let me up. This hurts. Can you drive faster? It hurts so bad. It hurts so bad.
That didn't look pleasant at all.
She was in the seat, but she decided she wanted to roll. So
So, excuse me. Sorry about that. So that situation, as devastating as it was, happened. Now she survived. He was terminated, and I haven't heard anything else about that case. And I looked before I came up today, but the main reason I came up today was for Elijah, because they have found one of the former officers guilty. And we'll talk about the conviction. One of them was acquitted, and there's still 3 other people, 2 EMTs and another cop, who actually put the death hold on Elijah. He didn't kill him with the death hold. They killed him with the ketamine, but we'll continue. And so you can get the gist of everything with the recap space from the Black Watch. Hopefully I don't get a copyright strike from the person who owns that name or thinks they own that name, thought they own that name, and that's why I gave the name back. Because don't nobody own me. And don't nobody own no name that I use. But I'm hopefully he's happy with it now, as he does nothing fruitful with it.
I mean, it wasn't like he let her go once she said master, but it's on camera. It's on tape. And the only reason we're actually seeing this because this motherfucker is actually appealing his termination. Now, his name on this video won't see the light of day. Okay. I don't believe that he deserves for me to say his name. I don't need to utter his fucking name. The fact that we're looking at a young lady upside down in a squad car, and the only picture that I could find had his picture in it. So we're going to look at this motherfucker, but we're not going to say his name. Okay. But to put her in that squad car, hog-tied, and to shake her around, she could have easily broke her neck. But she got to a point where she was begging, much like, and I remember George Floyd begging and screaming for his mother, who was already dead. He was hollering for his mama. So you wonder if she felt like it was the end. She begged and said she didn't want to die. And she had gotten to a fight, from what I heard. Not anybody that, I don't think they were injured. I don't think that, she killed anybody. She wasn't put in a position. I don't think she was in that position because she had did something so wrong that she deserved to be hogtied and tossed into a police car and then driven on her neck. But to have her get to the point where she called him master, it just really lets you know where you can be when you just might not think you're going to make it. That's going to be the last way you live, upside down, hogtied in a police car. The reason I did this video, because I was really going to do it just about her. Elijah McClain didn't even come up other than the fact that I knew Elijah McClain was from Aurora, Colorado. So I'm starting to learn that Aurora, Colorado is just a fucked up place. Because remember, Aurora, Colorado is also the place that Carrot Top motherfucker went into the movie theater and checked people out. Aurora, Colorado is a fucked up place. Remind me if we ever decide to go west, we stay the fuck away from Aurora, Colorado. I mean, I'll go to Denver, I'll go to Boulder. There's some other places that, you know, we're sure we could see, but Aurora, I don't think we want to go to Aurora in Colorado. I don't think we want to do that. But what they've withheld and what nobody's talked about, and not many people will see because not many people watch my fucking videos, so it won't really matter. These two incidences, her incidents and Elijah's incident, happened 3 days apart. 3 days apart. August 24th, 2019 is when what happened to her, and August 27th, 2019 is what happened to Elijah. So the Aurora Police Department damn near killed one Black person on the 24th and then killed a Black person on the 27th. So you got to understand, she didn't die, but then those police officers went out 3 days later, not saying it's the same ones, because I don't believe it was, but they weren't under any type of, man, we got to be careful out here. You know, this motherfucker did some fucked up shit. They just went out and murdered a kid, murdered him because he told them that he was an introvert. He begged for his space, but they killed him. Now, here she was put into a car because she had been fighting. So I guess disorderly conduct. I don't know if it was an assault charge coming. I don't know. I'm not even concerned with what her case is, with what her charge is. The fact that she had to be hogtied, I have a problem with that. Because that right there takes us all the way back to the 16, the 17, and the 1800s. Hogtied. And then you have 3 days later where young Elijah is killed. And you have to just think, why is there even a Aurora Police Department at this point? What are Black people in Aurora doing? What are the Black people surrounding Aurora doing? Y'all had this situation happen with the young lady on the 24th. Then you had that situation happen with Elijah on the 27th. God damn. Why is there even and I'm not inciting a riot. I'm not trying to incite violence, but look at what they did in Minneapolis. Look at what they've done in some other cities where the incidents didn't even actually happen in those cities, and they burned police precincts down. But I ain't hear about nobody doing nothing in Aurora. I mean, Aurora must be a bad fucking place. It's got to be a bad place when you do what you do on the 24th and then you turn around and do what you do on the 27th. I'm wondering, what the fuck? They don't care, Free. They don't care. My biggest issue at this point is, if this happens in a place like Aurora, don't you think it's going to happen in other places? And the fact that they were able to keep this suppressed for over a year, and the only reason we're hearing about it now is because this motherfucker is filing a appeal for his termination, which means He's trying to get his fucking job back. He's trying to get his badge and gun back. Now, you put somebody in a police car, hog tied. They only call that hog tied because that's what they do to fucking hogs. They don't call it hog tied because that's something that's normally done to humans. It's normally done to hogs, an animal. So you hog tied a human, got terminated, and you got the nerve to appeal the termination, and they got all the shit on video. Just like Elijah's killers, I believe one of them appealed his termination. The gall, the actual nerve for a motherfucker to appeal after you've killed someone, after you've hogtied, lets you know they don't give a fuck about black people. I mean, Elijah was as frail as could be. Didn't look like he was posing any type of threat to anybody. He was carrying a bag with, I believe it was an Arizona iced tea or something he had got for his younger brother. No weapons, no nothing. Listening to his music in his earphones. This young lady was in a fight and they broke the fight up. I don't know what happened with the other person. If the other person was arrested and they were put into another car. I don't know what happened where it justified her being hogtied. But he didn't secure her in a seat. You hogtie her, why didn't you secure her in a seatbelt? If she was that unruly and you couldn't control her, then you cuff her, and if you got to tie her feet together, but you can still put a seatbelt on her. You put a seatbelt on her, you take her to the station, and you do what you need to do. No, you hog-tied her, and you threw her in the back of the seat, knowing that there's probably a good chance she's going to come off that seat. She's hog-tied. She's a ball now. She's not even sitting up. She can't sit up because she's hog-tied. So you knew what was going to happen. It's going to be very interesting to see what these charges come about. I mean, shit, look at what you just got with Breonna Taylor. Motherfucker got charged for missing. He got charged for bullets going into the neighbor's apartment. What are they going to charge him for? They're going to charge him for not buckling her up. They're going to give him a no seatbelt ticket. They're going to charge him for using what wasn't police issued ankle restraints and rope. I mean, what are they going to charge this motherfucker with? Have they already charged him? I don't see. I didn't dig that far enough into this. All I saw was a video a few days ago about a woman being hogtied and thrown about a squad car and begging and calling this race soldier with a badge master. That's all I saw. That's all I knew. With Elijah McClain, all I know is Elijah McClain was walking from the store, walking home. Now, somebody had called the police and said that he looked like he was a threat. You know, that motherfucker needs to be charged for a wrongful call. Whatever they do, you know, calling in the police, and that's where they start there. And then the officers need to be brought up in charges and charge, never put their lives in danger to the point where they had to use excessive force and kill that boy. But who knows what's going to come about, because we know what they do to black people and they know how they dispense us with no warning and no punishment. No punishment. So the only reason that I did this was because it happened 3 days apart. It'd be different if these incidents happened years apart, they happen in the same city. Things like that happen all the time. But when you're talking 3 days apart, that's no regard for Black life. No regard for it. If you don't do something like this on the 24th and then go out and kill somebody on the 27th, and these, as far as I'm concerned, they're two unprovoked situations. I'm not sure exactly what she did that deserved for her to have to be restrained with her feet. But they have zip ties. He could have zip tied her feet. He could have put her right in a little L shape right onto the seat belt her down, take her to the station. You got her hands, you got her feet. Why the hog tie? I need to know why the hog tie. Elijah McClain, no excuse. When you listen to the tape, he's begging them to step back. He's telling them that he's an introvert. They didn't take that into consideration. Him because of it. They killed him for being an introvert. They killed him because he asked for his space. Not a space so he could draw a weapon. He didn't have a weapon. They killed him. And this young lady, she was put into a squad car, I'd have to say to die. I mean, look what happened to Freddie Gray when they threw him in the back of a fucking paddy wagon and didn't restrain him. Died. If you know anything about policing, you follow stories like that. If you're a police, you know when people die, when people get killed. Freddie Gray was a national story. So to throw her in the back of a police car, not secure, only secured to your standards by a hog tie, but not secure to the seat, anything could have happened. And it almost did. She was begging for her life to the point where she called him her master. She called him master. And that just made me think of George Floyd calling for his mother, who had died a year earlier. He was calling for her. Either he could see her because he knew he was near death, or he was delusional as that race soldier sat on his windpipe, his body secreting fluids laying in that street, and nobody giving a shit. I don't get it. I really don't get it. But I hope that justice is served in both of these cases. I do. I don't think it will be, but I do want justice served. I want prison sentences from now on for the race soldier who hog-tied the young lady, for the race soldiers who killed Elijah McClain. They need to go to prison forever for what they've done. Now, she didn't die, but do you understand the irreversible damage that you've caused her? For the rest of her life, she's going to be a mess. A mess. Hog-tied in 2019, 400 years from the date that the first slave arrived here. Hog-tied. She called him master. When someone says to you, we've come a long way in this country, show them that video. Read them that article. We've come far enough to where a woman gets hogtied on the 24th and a young man gets killed on the 27th in the same city. And what had been done? Said they said she had been in a fight and she was arrested for being in a fight. I didn't hear about anything happening, anybody having any injuries from the fight that she was in. But she was arrested, she was detained, and then she was hogtied and thrown in the back of a squad car. It made no sense. It made absolutely no sense to me. A lot of things don't make sense to me. Peace and love to the family of young Taraz, 6-year-old boy who was executed by some punk ass bitches. I mean, just weak. Kids are off limits. And I mean off limits. You don't kill a kid over no street shit. You don't kill a kid over nothing. Kids are off limits. That kid had done nothing to know when he was 6. You executed his woman. You had already killed him, and then you go execute his woman. It wasn't Taraz's mother. Condolences to their family. Anybody that knows them. It just makes no sense. You have too many individuals out here who think they're gangsters, who think they're street dudes. You ain't no street dude once you kill a kid. You just a kid killer. Now I know they did some heinous shit to him, killed him, then burned him up in the car, killed his woman. But once you do that to a kid, all your street credibility done gone out the window. And somebody knows who the fuck did this shit and ain't speaking up. You a bitch. You a bitch 3 times over. The snitch code don't apply here. He was a kid. 6. He was a baby. 1st grade? You kill a 1st grader? That gets your dick hard as a gangster? Punk ass bitch. I can't wait till they get these motherfuckers, and I hope they get them in the street. I don't want them to be arrested. I don't want them to be tried. I don't want them to be convicted, and I don't want them to go to prison. I need them to be gotten in the street. They need street justice. They need to be tried and convicted and sentenced in the street. Period. Fred, it looks like you and I are going to be the only ones up in here tonight, and I appreciate you. I'll spread the message. Those who care to catch it will catch it. Black Watch will continue free. And you've been pushing me, and you hit me up. You know, we got 113 subs. Look, it's a beautiful thing because it's happening organically. It's happening. See, I was getting 500,000, 1,500 views on Facebook while doing videos. Somebody called me and said, "Man, you got 3,300 views on a video." It didn't make any sense to me because I was just doing the same thing that I'm doing now. I don't care about the views. I care that the message reaches that many people. Absolutely. That's what I care about. That's the most important thing to me. Just like the subs. The subs will come. Because see, anybody that takes the time to subscribe, they'll get the notification, and then at some point they'll listen to the clip. And as we continue to get better and do our thing and be more consistent with it, we'll have more doses of the Black Watch. I'm just trying to figure some things out. I'm trying to figure out if I can do it mobile, I can do it sitting, I can do it here, I can do it there. I want to be able to just hit play and go. That's all. Because that's what it's about to me. It's more about that than anything else. I don't need the shine. I see a lot of podcasts out here, they got the shine. And their messages fucked up. Messages whack as fuck. And I'm not talking about anybody specifically, but I kind of am. There's some motherfuckers out here who really shouldn't be mic'd up, really shouldn't be behind no camera. They have no business doing this because they ain't talking about shit. What you wasting people's time for? But somebody like it. What they say? Somebody like it. So it's all good. If you're watching this clip, hopefully you'll hit like. If you haven't already subscribed and you're watching it, please do. If you are a sub and you're watching this, I appreciate your support because it's all about the message. I'm Black and I watch shit a little bit differently than most. That's why it's the Black Watch. Y'all be good. Until next.
That there was a recap of a space that I did back in 2020. Just a freestyle off the laptop talking about Elijah and the young lady. And I got to get that young lady's name. I keep calling her young lady. Give me 1 second. I don't like to be disrespectful there. I can get her name here. Give me 1 second. Shatine, I thought was her name. What was her name? Shatine Kelly. She was 28 at the time, so she's about 31 now. Shatine Kelly. And she was thrown about that police car hogtied. She didn't die. The race soldier with the badge and the gun was terminated, but then he appealed the termination, and that's how the footage actually even became public. So I can't find any current information on Shatine. I don't need anything on him. I need to know where she's at today. But maybe at some point we will find that out. I am looking for the setup for what's been currently happening with Elijah, because there's a situation that his killers have been tried. Well, a couple of them have been tried. One was convicted. One was found not guilty. And I want to play that video, and then we won't have to really stay up in here too much longer. The main thing is for us to get this recap done, because this has come across the wire and Elijah McClain is finally starting to get some justice. Okay. So let me get this ready here. Appreciate you putting up the hashtags for me, free. Screen share. Bam. What we got? All right. I think we can get that. Right. So we got justice for Elijah. Add that to the stage, and I think we are ready. Yeah, I'm gonna pop this one off. I just dug this up from, I think, ABC News, and it talks about what's taking place, brings us up to date on Elijah McClain's death case, killed by 3 officers and 2 EMTs, and we'll go from there.
Now to the verdict in the death of Elijah McClain, the young Colorado man subdued by police who died after being injected with ketamine. One officer has been convicted, but McClain's mother not happy with the jury's other decision. ABC's Andrea Fujii explains.
This morning, a split verdict in the case of a Colorado man who died after being subdued by police.
We, the jury, find the defendant, Randy Rodima, guilty of criminally negligent homicide. We, the jury, find the defendant, Jason Rosenblatt, not guilty.
A jury finding former officer Randy Rodima guilty of criminally negligent homicide and third-degree assault in the death of Elijah McClain. But former officer Jason Rosenblatt acquitted. The case dates back to August 2019, when the 23-year-old was walking home from a convenience store in Aurora. Someone called police, reporting a, quote, sketchy person wearing a ski mask. McClain was detained and can be heard pleading with officers.
I'm so sorry. I have no gun. I don't do that stuff. I don't do any fighting.
The incident escalated, with McClain in a chokehold, struggling to breathe.
I can't breathe.
When paramedics arrived, they injected McClain with what ended up being a lethal dose of the sedative ketamine. Prosecutors argued McClain would still be alive had it not been for the officers' use of force. McClain's mother wiping away tears, not happy with the split verdict.
This is the divided states of America, and that's what happens. So that's it.
The defense argued the officers followed protocol and blamed the paramedics for McClain's death. They go on trial later this year.
Together, we must do all we can to prevent these tragedies. Together, we can work to make policing safer, more effective, and more worthy of the public's trust.
Former officer Randy Rodima is expected to be sentenced in January. The trial for a third officer is set to begin today.
So let me get rid of that. Sorry about that. Uh-oh. Why is that even? That's still playing? Sorry about that. I'll need to run that back, run that drama back, because that's all that was. That was just drama. Don't know how I feel about it, other than the fact that I don't see any type of long prison sentence coming. And it sounds like there's already some type of prearranged agreement, because had this been looked at on a real serious level, they wouldn't have let him walk out that courtroom today. It's October. His sentencing is until January. So if this was some type of high priority murder conviction, homicide conviction, they would have taken him today. He would have had to taken off his tie and his cufflinks and any of his personal effects and given them to his family today, and he would have gotten a van today. But they're giving him an opportunity to obviously get his affairs in order. He won't be going to prison until January, if he goes to prison in January. Something tells me he may not go to prison, y'all. Just something tells me. If he does, it's going to be for a very short term, and who knows? They may suspend the jail sentence. They may give him house arrest. So where I said a guilty verdict for Elijah, but that's exactly what I meant. Elijah McClain got a guilty verdict from one of his assailants. One was found not guilty. But that's all it is right now, is a but. And I don't really believe that he's going to go to jail for any type of lengthy jail sentence. And that's just me. That's just me and my cynical fare. Because generally, if you're going away and they think you're a risk because you know you're going away, they generally take you that day. They don't give you time. They tell your attorneys, hey, if he's found guilty, we probably gonna take him today. So to know that he was not prepared to go to jail, whether he was found innocent or guilty, lets me know there's something else in play. And for his mother, I feel for her. I empathize. That's not justice. And the two paramedics, the EMTs who put the lethal dose of ketamine into Elijah's body, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with their trial, and the person who put the chokehold on, which led to the ketamine, because he didn't need the chokehold because he wasn't resisting, and he didn't need the ketamine because he was out of control. So I want to know where those sentences will go. Because if we got a guilty verdict here, we're going to get a guilty verdict on the chokehold. We're going to get a guilty verdict on the ketamine. But what are they going to do? That's what I want to know. I want to know, what are they going to do? So it's going to be interesting. But I appreciate you watching this live recap of the Black Watch, which is now The Villager on Deck. And we had to speak on Elijah getting a guilty verdict. But
Ass is next. Hold up. Hold up.
I'm not gonna sit here and say I'm gonna do something that's only gonna benefit Black people. No.